Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are happy to host you today and welcome you to our panel discussion. I am Anika Jane Dorothy. I'm the East Africa Coordinator for Amplify Girls. Amplify is a partner-led organization, and our mission is to amplify the voices, collective impact, and the work of powerful girl-serving organizations in Eastern Africa. We are so thrilled to have you here with us today and to learn from our local leaders and their work. We have muted everyone just so that we can be able to have a cohesive session. Our panelists and opening key speakers are already with us. So thank you so much for joining. And so getting right into it, I'm going to provide a small context on exactly why we are here today and why we thought it is important to have these conversations. I think, as you all know, community-driven organizations are the lifeline for communities at the grassroots level. And now more than ever, local organizations are delivering critical care, critical support and supplies for people who have been impacted by COVID-19. And historically, today more than ever, the development matrix has aligned CDOs in resource allocation, and this is a big issue. So in the context of COVID-19 and also before, the community organizations workers have always been the first point of contact in the community. They are the frontline and first responders and human rights defenders, and they're the protectors of women and girls in the communities. The East Africa setting provides for a heavy cultural influence in the rural areas where most of the marginalized girls dwell. So the issues of gender-based violence, sexual gender-based violence, lack of access to education, female genital mutilation, and affordable housing are feminist issues, and they're largely affecting women and girls. Communities have risen up to fight against these injustices, and they are creating the solutions by actively influencing a different development narrative through grassroots initiatives. So it is against this background that this panel here today focuses on shifting the development matrix to centralize community organizations as opposed to having them at the bottom of the pyramid. It is in this model that we think it is going to be able to effectively ensure women and girls are protected. And not only that, that they have access to holistic care and resources that better their lives in the face of adversity and social injustices. And we want to do this through advocating for direct and unrestricted funding for community organizations. We want to create spaces for community representatives at the global level and in global platforms. It is no longer enough to have one woman from the grassroots make an impassionate speech at a global event. Instead, each region and their respective governments should have a systemized method of including CDOs in all conversations, in the governance structure of multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder forums, where development agendas are formulated and resource structures are established. I think we all know about Carolyn Mosa and engendering budgeting. It is important that budget lines are included when we speak about communities. So today we are amplifying the incredible work of local leaders. They should be recognized for their vision, their dedication, and their commitment within their own communities. They should be celebrated too, and they should be listened to. But first off, we want to welcome the wonderful Executive Director of UNGAI, Antara Ganguly, who will share her insights on localization and on the power of centering girls and girl-serving organizations in the global agenda. She has an incredible voice when it comes to advocating on a global stage for the rights of adolescent girls, and we are absolutely thrilled to have her here with us today. So Antara, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annika. I don't know if I can do justice to that very, very generous introduction. Hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here. I have been tweeting and sharing on social media that this is a different kind of event. I get the honor and privilege of speaking at many events, but I do think this one is special and this one is different because this one brings into very sharp focus a critical actor that the education space often does leave behind, and that is the community. In many parts of the world, a girl going to school has become the norm. This is something we now take for granted. But the fact that it is a norm is what ensures that all girls in all communities, even from those families who do not truly believe in gender equality and women's empowerment, get to go to school. If it hadn't become a norm, then those families would not be sending their girls to school, even in middle income communities, even in middle income countries. So, this point about going to school, about girls going to school being a norm, is critical for girls, especially the vulnerable girls, especially the marginalized girls. And we all know what it takes for a behavior and action to become a norm. It takes a community to make it into a norm. So if we know then that we need a community to normalize, to make into a norm girls going to school, then isn't it kind of strange that community action and mobilization is not indeed at the center of every girl's education plan and budget and speech and so on? So I am very happy to be part of this community, to have been invited by Amplify, to hear from these community actors in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda. They will talk about their challenges and successes in supporting girls to go to school. I plan to listen very carefully, and I hope you will too. Because the truth is, nobody, other than the girls themselves, nobody understands what it will take for these girls to go to school and stay in school, especially with and after COVID, than these actors. Because these actors know the homes these girls come from and know the neighbors that these girls live with. And they know the talk and they know the behaviors and they know the aspirations and they know what these communities don't know. So they're really the right people to advocate for these girls. I started my career as a teacher. I taught in a red light area in Pune in India, where we taught children of sex workers. These children had access to a free government school with hot meals, free textbooks, fully qualified teachers, free uniforms, and shoes. And the school was within 500, it was in the center of the neighborhood. So it was very, very accessible. The children of the sex workers, they took the uniforms, they took the shoes, they showed up sometimes for the meals, but they didn't go to school. The NGO I worked with, we put together a 3-hour learning program, and we put it in that same school before their regular school day started. And within a month, we had 90% attendance. What was the magic? The school principal asked me. Half of the magic was in the way we taught, yes. We used a Montessori approach. We used a lot of play-based learning. We had a very empathetic way of interacting with the children. So yes, that was definitely half of the magic. But at least half of the magic was in the daily work we put in with the mothers and the brothel owners every single day. We had to talk to them every day, even if we were just saying hello and joking about a cricket match. They had to see us every day. They had to see us show up every day. They had to see the way we interacted with the children. They had to trust us before they would let their children come to us. Trust is a big word. Usually we talk about trust in relationships. A girl going to school is actually all about relationships. And so trust is an essential word when it comes to enabling the most marginalized girls to go to school and to stay at school, and at so many levels. Girls have to trust themselves. They're often born into worlds where they are not made to feel worthy. They're not made to feel equal to their brothers. Girls need to trust their schools. And there's a lot of work we need to do to make sure that the schools are deserving of that trust. But very importantly, their communities need to trust in both. They need to trust the girls and they need to trust the schools. If even one of these links is weak, it doesn't work, not sustainably, not in the long term. So I congratulate and have so much respect and admiration for these community actors, because they are the ones who see the importance of these links, they build these links, and they keep these links going. And honestly, I cannot think of more important work. So let me stop there. I don't want to take away from the airtime of the community actors. So back to you, Anika. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Antara, for that beautiful opening. And I think the major takeaway I take from that is trust. Amplify, created by a network of partners, prides itself in moving at the speed of trust. And even for us to actualize localization, there must be established a trust structure that allows funders to provide unrestricted and direct funding, and believe and trust that that funding will be utilized in the best interest of the girls to keep them in school and have them stay in school. Getting them to school is one thing, but making them or helping them stay in school is an entirely different conversation. And not only that, looking at the external factors that either contribute to them performing in school or staying in school are also conversations that we need to have and are gaps that communities fill. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'm hoping that you'll be with us as we go into our next stage, which is actually one of the most vital to this discussion. Our communities and our organizations are providing solutions, innovative solutions. They are creating parallel systems to complement government, to support the goals of government in the ministries of education, and more so, support girls' education. Joining me is David from Riley Orton Foundation. Please, he will be joining us from Kisumu, where he has a great intervention for girls. David, are you online? We will be sharing your presentation. Right, I think he has not yet been made, he hasn't been given privileges. So please upgrade him so that he can be able to present as we project his presentation. In the meantime, please feel free to ask questions in the chat, and we will be compiling them and responding to them as we go on. I see David is now here with us. David, karibu as we share your presentation.
Thank you so much, Anika, and everyone. I'm happy to be here today. I'm David. I'm the director of Riley Orton Foundation. We are a grassroots organization based in Kisumu, Kenya, and we mainly empower girls through holistic education. So today I'm going to show you this one. Yeah, so today I'm going to show you how we have been able to get girls back to school, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. So our main program that we've been using to do this is called Hold a Girl's Hand Initiative. And through this program, we understand that there are so many challenges that are facing girls in our community. And key among them is really leading to early pregnancies, unplanned pregnancies. And we have attributed this to mostly lack of basic needs. Most of the families have been negatively impacted by the pandemic, and they are financially unable to meet most of the girls' needs. These include basic things like school uniforms, sanitary supplies or menstrual hygiene products, school fees, and so on. So we basically try to eliminate these barriers that hold girls from getting access to quality education. And we believe that by investing in this girls' education, we can really improve the quality of their life in the later years. And by so doing also, they can be able to support their families in general. So one of the main things that we do to remove the barriers is through material support. Anika, if you can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so we provide school uniforms, and we do this by partnering with local high schools and primary schools. And our main goal with this is to increase school enrollment, increase transition from primary to high school. And whenever we give school uniforms, we partner with the local parents to ensure that the parents also are actively engaged in the education of these girls. So the parents are able to contribute between $1 to $10, and we are able to pull these funds to buy sanitary pads. And by buying these sanitary pads, we again work with the guidance and counseling departments of these local schools, so that when girls need these supplies, they can easily access them. From our partner schools where, for example, a girl will soil her clothes during her periods in class, and they will be sent home to go and change. Usually they never come back when this happens. They take 3 or 4 days before they come back, because when they go home, they are not able to get these supplies because their parents are not able to afford them. So this leads to loss of crucial class hours. And we believe that by working with the guidance and counseling departments, making these sanitary pads available in schools, we are able to ensure that when the girls need them, they get them instantly. They can be able to change in the washrooms that are available in the schools. They are able to get the pads and then go back to class and not waste any time just because they are going through their periods. Lack of a means to transport these girls to school has also led to transactional sex for lifts to school. For example, in some of our partner schools, we've noticed cases where the teachers report that on a regular basis, there is a motorcycle taxi operator who takes and who picks up and drops girls to school every day. Usually they think that, or they assume that it's the parents who have sent these motorcycle guys to pick the girls up. But later when these girls become pregnant is when everyone notices or gets to know that they were taking advantage of the girls just because they were not able to afford a transport to school. So at Riley Oton Foundation, we give these girls who have to walk long distances to school free bicycles, so that we can eliminate this barrier that leads to unwanted pregnancies or unplanned pregnancies when the motorcycle operators take advantage of them. Yeah, you can go to the next, please. So in addition to the material support that we give to the girls, we offer high school scholarships. And this really is to ensure that lack of school fees does not stand in the way of girls accessing quality education. So we are able to work with primary schools to transition the girls graduating from 8th grade to the high schools and ensure that they can continue learning. Our scholarships are merit-based, and we work with the different stakeholders in the community, including the area chiefs and the clergy and the community gatekeepers, to ensure that we reach the most disadvantaged girls and give them the opportunity to not only stay in school, but also ensure that they are learning. So usually when we give these girls uniforms and give them the scholarship to go to school, we see an increase in the engagement by the parents, because we partner with them to lift some of the burdens that they experience, some of the costs that inhibit them from taking their girls to school. and they are able to meet other costs like the cost of paying for the other siblings' school fees. We also partner with reputable high schools that offer leadership opportunities in the country. For example, we have a partner called Daraja Academy. So they're a boarding school setting, and we are able to take those girls who come from very disadvantaged families who do not maybe have guardians to stay with them, or who need to just be in a boarding school setting. So when we partner with these schools, we reduce both the burden on the parents, and we are also able to, the girls are just able to focus on their studies and work towards achieving their dreams. Yeah, next, please. Yeah. When we do the uniform distributions and we offer these scholarships, we always find girls who are facing different psychosocial challenges. For example, we encounter pregnant girls who are struggling to go back to school. We encounter families who have been exposed to gender-based violence but do not know the different paths that they can take to ensure justice is done. So we are able to work with these students through peer mentors. We are able to hold girls' talks in the schools. We are able to talk with them and their parents and refer them to different support networks. For example, gender-based violence prevention centers in the country. We are able to help them to even access health in case of violations or sexual harassment and so on. So when we do this, we always give them that support network and work with them and ensure that if a pregnant girl dropped out of school and she wants to continue her studies, we are able to support her to ensure that pregnancy does not hold her back from continuing her education and ultimately achieving her potential. Yeah, next. Yeah, so since we started this holistic approach of working with the girl and empowering them to ensure that they stay in school and learn, we've seen a lot of great impact. And so far, in this year alone, we were able to help about 316 girls to transition to high school by providing them with these basic supplies. We are also able to give about 135 bicycles to girls to ensure that they can go to school and escape this transactional sex for lifts. And we've been able also to take 15 girls under our scholarship program and distribute over 36,000 packets of sanitary pads to rural girls who have been able to access our mentorship and reproductive health sessions as well. So right now we are hoping that funding can be increased for local CDOs like Riley Orton Foundation so that we can be able to continue this work on the ground. And the COVID-19 pandemic has really caused a lot of disruptions for us. For example, the school calendar in Kenya is really intense. And for the first time, we are going to graduate about 3 classes in 1 year, in less than 1 year. So that means there's a lot of pressure to continue offering more scholarships because traditionally only 1 class graduates every year. But now, as everyone tries to recover time lost during the pandemic when there were prolonged school closures, we are going to see almost 3 classes graduate in August, April, and by November next year. And that means we are going to triple the number of students that we need to give scholarships. So increased funding for CDOs like us means that we are able to provide these scholarships to these girls and ensure that they stay in school and continue their education. And we believe that if we are able to provide this holistic education to these girls, it can go a long way in improving the quality of their life and they'll ultimately reach their fullest potential. So I invite everyone to continue amplifying the message of increasing this funding to local CDOs, localization, and so on, so that we can have a voice on the discussion table and ensure that our work does not stop because of the pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David. Quite an interesting approach. I know there are so many people who, or so many organizations who have addressed the issue of pads and addressed the issue of school fees and uniform and keeping girls in school, but you have introduced an interesting concept on providing transport. I know in many areas, especially in the country that you are, that is Kenya, there has been an issue of the motorbike people, standing by the schools around there waiting for girls. And this is an interesting aspect, transportation to and from schools. How are we looking at that? And moving forward, I think that's something we can look at. Maybe you can answer some of the questions in the chat. I'm just going to read them out loud. Albertina says, my question is on how to best address students who have or had dropped out of school due to early pregnancy, as well as what are your efforts in reducing teenage pregnancy? I think a lot of the presenters coming afterwards will be able to answer that, but maybe David, you can put in the chat from Grace Murika, do you have a specific curriculum on SRHR? And I think there was a question on the numbers of the people you've been able to support, but the impact slide you showed has been able to inform us. Jackie says, do you have a life skills program as well? So I think these are questions that you can continually answer in the chat. Now, our next presenter is Anande from Jifundishe, Tanzania. Anande is an amazing woman. I was privileged to be able to attend last week her 10-year anniversary. 10 years of putting girls and young people through school through an independent study program. This is a program that does not operate in the normal school curriculum, but I'm going to bring her in and let her tell us all about it. Anande, karibu sana, and we really look forward to hearing from you. You are muted. Please click on unmute.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. I hope you can hear me now. Thank you, Anika, for a great introduction. My name is Anande from Jifundishe organization. We are basically based in Arusha, in Arumeru district. And I work with Jifundishe as managing director, as Anika introduced me. So I'm not going to take you a long time. I'm going to introduce only one program. If I talk, I'm going to take the whole 30 minutes. So our program started as a library. So I can't talk about independent study program without mentioning our amazing community library. So Jifundishe is an organization, a community organization that is basically here in Arumeru, and it's only one branch in the whole Tanzania. And basically what we do is to help the adults. So Jifundishe means teach yourself. So basically when we started the library, we meant that people will be coming and use our education resources and teach themselves, maybe students, maybe adults, everyone was invited. And then later on, we saw like it's very important to start something new after seeing the need from the community around us. So Anika, go next. Next slide. So we started the program called the Independent Study Program. And this program started 2010 with very few students. And the aim of this program was to help the student to excel through alternative informal education. And this is for the dropout, only failure and dropout. So by that time, we had very few students that were able to go to secondary school. So most of students ended up standard 7. And so it was hard for them to continue. So Jifundisha started independent study program to help these students that taken to work at home as house girls, and some they are taken to be married and all that, but they had vision to study. So bringing them to the center and giving them all the education resources. This include textbooks, exercise books, pen, everything that they wanted for the education, and start themselves. So we started this program by encouraging them to learn themselves, find the center for them to do the national exam, and if they pass, they can move from one level to another. So this is informal education, and this used to be for adults mostly, for the age of 14 and above. So we prepare these students. And then later on, the need was more than expected. We build up the classroom and start call for the volunteer to help them, teach them the topic that is difficult for them and continue. So these students, right now, the pass rate is very high, 85% for the year of 2017 to 2020. And we have 3 levels. Qualifying test, which is for Tanzanian curriculum, is Form 2. And then Form 3 and 4, which we call them PC, private candidates, and Form 5 and 6, which is, we call them advanced level. And after that, you can continue with university or college or tertiary, whatever you want. So it is informal, but once you finish all these 3 stages, you can meet other students who went to the best schools at university and then find your own path for the professional. Next. So the goal for this program is to to provide effective programming that can bring results. And we make sure that girls are reaching academic and emotional level to ensure their success. And we are looking for more funding so we can continue grow our goal for the, more supporting of the girls. If you all agree with me, last year was a mess for the girls when the schools were closed. So we have a lot of girls that got pregnant, and now they are looking the opportunities and places to go and continue with the school. We had some policies on ground that once a girl gets pregnant here, you cannot continue with their education. So you have to stay home, whether get married or not, or if your parent has money, can take you to private school. And even the private school, you have to make sure they don't know that you have a kid. So now the only alternative is you to study privately and do the private candidate exam. Now, how many girls are able to access the places like that? It's very expensive, as one subject per month is 50,000 Tanzanian shilling, which is equivalent to $23. So if you study like 7 subjects, you can calculate it's over 500 USD per month, per year. So it is hard for them to continue with the education. Now, Jifundisha have this intervention to bring the girls in and boys as well, find the center for them to do exam, and then continue with the education. So next slide. And within that program as well, we have in the way that we innovate this program to bring the girls close with us as well, that they learn the entrepreneurship program after they finish the exam and they're waiting for results, national exam. You have to wait for results sometime. And so we take them to the training so they can continue with the life and nurse their kids, for those who have babies as well. They got the reproductive health, hygiene and management as well, receive the reusable sanitary towels when they're around. They have self-defense training as well, so they can be able to defend themselves in case of anything. They got the career counseling as well, because going to secondary school is not enough. You need to know why you are there and what are you doing and what's your purpose. What do you want to do in future? So they have the career counseling to choose their own path. They have mental health counseling as well, because most of girls are coming from really, really hard environments, whereby they have a lot of torture and the families doesn't care about them as well. So they have a lot in their mind. So settling them down and start studying 7 subjects, 8 subjects, it's hard unless you make sure they are mentally healthy. So this counseling starts before the classes earlier, and then they have to accept the situation. It takes time for them sometimes to tell their story, but then we have seen this for 2 years. It has been really good for them and very helpful. And that also help with the pass rate for the girls. Previously, boys were doing very well than girls, but now girls are doing very well as well. Next, Anika. So that's all about the independent study program, but we have so many programs that we're doing, and then because of time, I will just stop there. That is testimonial. Thank you for listening and welcome to Jifundishe. It's open for everyone to come and listen, just learn and share the knowledge and skills. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anande. Quite an interesting program, and I must admit, hearing from you is really not enough to see the impact. I think in your education, in your event, in your 10-year anniversary, just seeing hundreds of alumni, almost 200, and some of them were not even present. People who have become doctors, engineers, tradespeople, accountants, teachers. We even have people from the army and the police force who had dropped out of school and had an entirely different story. Jifundishe was able to change their story from people who just go home and come and study and eventually do the exam. And that is really a big achievement, and we are really happy to have you here. And we hope that we can be able to create so many such support centers. I know each country has a space for people to be able to do exams, but the process of hand-holding to get to the exam is lacking. And I know you have a lot of pressure in Tanzania as well to be in other areas, but we can only do so much. Thank you so much, Anande. I think for any questions, please look through the chat. I'm just going to read a few where Margaret says it's a powerful route for young mothers to access and complete their education online when traditional schools are no longer a solution. Wonderful work. Moving on, in most streets all over the world, you may find someone seated asking for money, begging for either a cup of water or a plate of food. Do we know these people? Do we see them? And how can we help them? Well, all the way in Rwanda, Valentine from Saka is working with street children and giving them a different narrative. She is changing their story. I'm going to bring in Valentine now to tell us the story of how she's able to work with street children, impact their education, and change their lives. Valentine, if you're online, you can unmute yourself. Sorry, we can't hear you. Okay.
Thank you, Anika. Thank you for everyone. Dear Amplify readers, participants on this event and co-colleagues. I'm very happy to present on behalf of SACA Rwanda. My name is Mukamwenzi Valentine. I'm the director of the Street Ahead Children's Center Association, SACA. SACA is an organization that was created in 2003 for the three main objectives. The objectives was initially to support street children in Rwanda, focusing on work in a rehabilitation center through protection, prevention, and reintegration. But currently today, we are focusing on community, preventing the community, education, supporting youth, especially girls, where our participants in primary school, secondary school, and vocational trainings are technical school, 80% are girls. SACA has a vocational training center and rehabilitation center in Eastern Province of Rwanda. We aim to support and empower economically people with disabilities and the older people. Our assistance to vulnerable families is aiming to support the family sustainability. Next. As the other organization functioning on local level, they really play a vital role. In Rwanda, SACA works in rural community in Eastern Province of Rwanda, where SACA has currently an intimate knowledge and is working in the community where knows the local context. We seek and support local communities to find the solution to the community issues, and the SACA is accountable. There is 17 years experience working with the local communities, and our initiative when we started the organization was to support children from street, both boys and girls. But as recently mentioned, supporting the vulnerable youth, especially girls, have reached our participants to another step. And in Rwanda, organization working with the local communities, we are lucky in a partnership with the Rwandan government and the other partners and stakeholders. We have a forum, we call it JAF, Joint Development Forum. And this forum is for the organization in the community to support community by responding to the priorities of local communities. And this has been enabling SACA to reach more people and to support the community, especially vulnerable groups, based on their needs. We do assessment every year. We make sure that a child, a girl that has been coming to our program is supported based on the needs of him or herself, and especially based on her future wishes or her future plans. If you go to next. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yes. If you go back. Yes. Since we started to work in communities to support younger girls and local communities, SACA has a uniqueness in its rehabilitation of delinquency, integrating them back to normal behavior. SACA has a vocational and rehabilitation center where now currently we have reintegrated teen mothers and offered opportunity to come and have vocational trainings. Recently, because of COVID-19 challenges, as you have seen in the past, that the girls drop out of school, either because they are pregnant or either because they have other family issues. Coming back to school, reintegrating them back to school, they still have the challenges of where to stay, to leave their babies. Recently at Isaka, we have opened a room for the younger mothers where babies are kept while the mothers are in class. And this is because simply we are in local communities. We really know, we see the issues. We can see how the girls have been struggling to be reintegrated back to school while they still have their younger babies. Keeping the babies in a room, supporting them while the mothers are in the class, have shown us that if this girls room are opened to the younger mothers also coming and leave their babies with the mothers while they're in the class, this would more support younger teen mothers to continue their education. Every year, SACA supports between 150 participants in vocational trainings in other schools. In primary, for example, this year we have 300 in primary and second, and we have 450 in vocational trainings. 80% are the girls. And we have been having graduates who, after our programs, they get employment in different services in the country. Many of the families who have been supporting have moved from one step to another, becoming rich, becoming sustainable in their socio-economic as we do economic empowerment. Every year we support between 250 and 500 families. We empower them economically and through supporting them in income generating activities in agriculture, and also integrating them with the mindset change so that they can combine all the combined support and move from one step to another. When I say step, I mean the categories. In Rwanda, if you go to next, in Rwanda, the local population are categorized. And this categorization has been shown by National Institution of Statistics. If you go back a little bit, in the national statistic report, V5 2017 have shown how the status of poverty, education, all the programs. And this has been showing how people can really need support. When we are in a partnership with the government and the other stakeholders, the organization like SACA in the local communities, we base on data which is available so that we can respond to community issues. Of course, in the different programs we are implementing in Rwanda, there might be some challenges, and there are some challenges especially available on the grant. Many organizations like SACA operates on a very small budget, really, which is not able, doesn't respond to all issues identified by the community. And some of big funders underestimate the capacity of local NGOs, yet those local NGOs are in the community and properly, locally to respond to local issues. We are lucky we have Amplify Girls to support local organization, together raising girls' voice. We really appreciate the Amplify Girls organization because this group of girls, this group of women, those people in the past, if we base on Rwandan culture, in the past, this group was left behind. It was not include any education program or economic activities, but with the government transformation changes and support organization, and this intervention of Amplify to support a local organization raising a girls' voice is playing a vital role. If you go to next, please. Since you have started to work with the girls, especially those from streets, here I have a case study of Aisha. She's a girl that we met when she was 11 years old, living on the street with 4 siblings. Since we met her, we took her to school, completed the secondary and the university. She was very clever and she performed well. She got the government scholarship, and now she's a teacher in higher school in Rwanda. She's recently had her wedding and she has a stable family. Now she's aiming to promote and support more girls like her, because she really knows the life and the bad situation before she meets Saka. Like Aisha and the other girls, they have changed their life. We have successful stories. We have them coming, bringing certificates to our organization. We have local communities, parents, also local leaders have giving us reward the appreciation of the work that organization like Saka is doing in the community. If you go to next, please. Yes, like before I conclude, I would really like to thank everyone who is on this event and on this panel. We really think that community development will be addressed by people, local and supporters and international. Local organizations like Saka are in a good position to address local issues. Once they are empowered, of course, we meet their goals. We really thank all partners like Amplify, and thank you for everyone. For any question, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Valentine. Such a strong call to action there with the work that you do with the girls. Really happy to see Aisha's story change. And this is what we talk about, changing a story one at a time. I see that we are pressed for time and we just have our last presenter waiting all the way from Uganda. Despite the challenges going on in the capital, and our sincere condolences to the country right now for all that they're facing. But we have Kansime with us from Uganda. In case you have any questions about any presentation that we have had so far, please put them in the chat. Our last presenter is Kansime from Uganda. She will be telling a story, not necessarily a presentation, but we have powerful visuals to show you about the work that she has done. I'm hoping in the next 10 minutes, I will be hearing her story and listen to what is happening to girls in Kanungu, you know, the neighborhood of the gorilla community as well. So if you ever need a tour guide, please talk to Kansime on the side. But today, let's listen about the girls in Kanungu. Kansime, welcome.
Thank you very much, Anika. I hope I am audible enough.
Yes, yes, you are.
My name is Kansime Honest Fortunate. I'm the founder of Girls to Lead Africa. It's a leadership incubator based in Kanungu, Uganda. We work with girls, mostly teens and twins, and we are into formal education and leadership development. And For now, for today, I won't dwell on our programming. You could visit our website to get to know more about us. For now, I'll dwell on one of our programming, which falls under the broader programming of providing safe spaces for girls. So we just don't stop at paying school fees and tuition, like scholarships for our girls. We don't just stop at leadership development, leadership academies, and the boot camps and the East African Girls Leadership Summit. I had seen Claire in the room. Thank you very much. We also make sure that a girl is supported holistically, that when they are in school, when they are in the community, when they are doing their leadership, there is an enabling environment, an environment that understands the rights of a girl, an environment that is safe, a space that is safe for them to be able to exercise their rights. So under creating safe spaces for girls, we came up with a program called Girl Safe Border. Border, for those of you who don't know, who haven't traveled to East Africa or to Uganda, borders are a form of public transport using motorcycles. So like you sit on a motorcycle and someone rides you from a place to another. And border in Uganda is the mostly commonly used means of public transport. We use buses, we use taxis, but they are very few. So the majority of Ugandans, of Kanungu people, use border. Girl Safe Border is a partnership between Girls Lead Africa and the border community of Kanungu district. And Girl Safe Border is composed of 300 so far. We have 300 Girl Safe Borders. And these are border drivers who are fathers to teens and twins, like the border rider who is a father who has a daughter, whether biological or adopted, who is like 13, 12, 13, up to the early twins, the early 20s. And so this group helps. We came with this group when the first lockdown came. I think Uganda has been, the last time I checked statistics, Uganda has been the longest locked, closed country in the world. Like we are #1 as far as schools are concerned. Like we have classes which have never reported since March 2020. Like some classes till today, they haven't reported and they are waiting to report in January next year. And so because of this lockdown, when schools closed, we had a challenge of girls who came home and they were in the communities and they were getting pregnant, they were getting married, they were getting into drugs, they were getting into all the bad things that could happen to a teenager. And so we came up with Girl Safe Border to help us provide safety to our girls, to help us observe girls' rights, to help us reduce early marriages, child marriages, reduce teenage pregnancies. And we came up with borders because borders are the biggest perpetrators of child marriages and teen pregnancies. Like they are the culprits. They are the ones who actually harass the biggest percentage of teenage girls in any community where they operate. And so we saw a chance of involving these people and turning the perpetrators into defenders of girls' rights. And we started with, I think, about 30 borders, and they kept increasing. Like the more the Girl Safe Borders talked about it on their stages, in their communities, the more father borders, more daddy borders, if I can use that word, came in to join us. And so we have been growing, and we are now at 300. And so the role of Girl Safe Border is to help us patrol. They helped us patrol like the areas. One advantage of borders is that they are like CNN of the community where they live. Like they know all the news, they know what is happening where at all the time, because they are always on the move. They carry passengers from one corner of the community to another corner. And so the whole day they are moving, getting a passenger going to some place and getting another one, taking them someplace. And so because of that, because of the nature of their work, they get to know what is happening in the community before anyone else knows. And so they are always like, in Uganda, like if you want any news happening anywhere, they are always like the ones who know everything. And so we knew that because of that advantage, we are going to patrol and know the places. In the first place, since they are the ones violating these girls, they should tell us where they always take them. Do they meet them when they go to church, when they go to the well to fetch water? Do they meet them at the sports football pitch? Do they take them to lodges? Do they find them in their homes when the parents have gone to work? Where are the danger zones? Where are the red spots? Which places should we put our eyes and ears to when we want to safeguard the girls? And so they help us patrol the community and identify all the lodges, the inns, the bars, the football pitches, the social, the community halls, everywhere that the girls always get violated, the sports betting centers and all that. And then too, they help us transport girls when girls are sent to run errands, because one of the red spots that were identified, like when they get the girls, is when the girls are sent by their parents to like get groceries from the shops, from the markets, and to run some errands. So Girl Safe Border helps us transport the girls safely from one place to another, whether they are going to the shop or the market or the football pitch or to any other social gathering. So we know that when a girl is being transported by a Girl Safe Border, they will reach where they are going safely without being violated. We have taken them through a series of trainings, like on things that they took for granted, like when you a girl boards your border, your motorcycle, don't touch her bums, don't touch her breasts, don't utter words that might violate them or entice them, because that age is so critical that even telling them, you know, your eyes are so glorious and so beautiful, you are already turning her brain and, you know, confusing her. So they know which words not to mention, or which parts not to touch, or which ways not to conduct themselves when they interact with these girls. The other thing they help us is they are like our ambassadors. So because there are very many borders who are not fathers yet to teenage girls. So they help us. Each one is an ambassador, is our ambassador at their stage. So they are organized. The good thing with borders that they are organized, they have organized structures in their stages, and they have organized leadership structures, and they have this solidarity. So they have communicate a lot. They have like what can I call them? Associations. They have like every stage, every community border has an association, which they have like savings groups. They have like they bury where the members and their loved ones when they die. They attend each other's weddings, and so they're always together in grief and in happiness and everything. So they are our ambassadors in those communities, and they help us disseminate this information, like the training we give them about girls' rights, about bad touches, about bad language, about violation, about everything. And so they help us in the community to disseminate the information and tell other their fellow borders on how to conduct themselves against girls, and how when they're with girls, rather, and how to respect girls' rights and what are girls' rights. And that has really helped us a lot for the information to move quickly, since we know that once this community of borders at par with girls' rights and respect girls' rights, will have really moved like so many thousand miles as far as protecting girls is concerned. The Girls Safe Border also one of the biggest tasks they have been helping us with, especially during these long lockdowns, is to report cases. They help us report cases. If they know about any case in their community where a girl has been violated or married off by their parents, unwillingly or willingly, or any pregnant girl who is trying to commit an unsafe abortion, or any pregnant girl who has been chased away from home by her parents, they help us to get all those cases. We got in touch with the police. They know the numbers, police numbers to call when they see something unusual, and then they call Girls Lead Africa, and we swing into action to make sure that the girls are protected. So that is all I can say about Girls Safe Border for now. If you want to know more information or visit our website, you're most welcome. Like our page at Girls Lead Africa 1. So we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we have a website. So please visit us and get to know more about our programming. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kansime. What a wonderful program of he for she. And I remember some words that were said: in order for us to achieve women and girls' rights, it cannot just be women who fight for their rights. So everybody has a role to play in the society, and we are really happy to see you bring on board the Boda Boda riders as partners. Great work. If you have any questions about Kansime's program, please put your questions in the chat. Noting that not everyone can contribute towards girls' education through an organizational program, we have champions whose work is to activate programs, mobilize communities, petition governments and local assemblies towards girls' education. Joining us from Transform Education is Gertrude Mlingo, a young woman from Tanzania who is a published author and has done so much for girls' education in her context, local context, and also globally. Giving us closing remarks is Gertrude. Karibu sana, Gertrude. We look forward to hearing from you, just to put a bow on it from the presentations that have been done from our partners. Welcome. Oh, sorry, you're still muted, Gertrude. So if you could unmute, yes, okay.
Thank you so much for this amazing introduction. Good afternoon. I'm extending my gratitudes to Amplify Girls for giving me this opportunity to join you all today. Before I start, I want to take a moment to invite us to honor and stand in solidarity with the girls who have been most impacted by this pandemic in East Africa. I want us also to honor and celebrate the community organization, especially those here, for the tireless work they have been doing throughout this pandemic. Thank you so much. If you're wondering, who is this person? Well, as I've been introduced earlier, My name is Gertrude Joseph Mligo, 23 years old, a writer, an activist, and a Tanzanian young woman. Growing up, what I witnessed was a community full of patriarchal mindset that women should just stay in the kitchen, that they didn't belong in classrooms. Women were labeled as mothers, care of the families, and that was a full stop. They didn't have any other role. But this was just a fiction in my family. My father had a different mindset. He is a true believer of girls get equal, especially in education. He pushed for equal education for both me and the boys in my family. And he showed this not by words, but by his actions. When my mother was supposed to go to school to get her degree, I was 2 years old. The community was a bit harsh to my father. So they were words surrounding our zones as, why are you allowing this woman to live? Isn't she the main care of the family? Do you want to become a woman? Do you want to belong in the kitchen? So these are questions that were questioned to my father, but yet he chose girls' education. My father encouraged my mother to go to school. Through my books, I want to create a society where men have the mindset like my father, a society where girls and boys are not restricted to these gender stereotypes and laws, a society where girls are trusted and believed in, where they are given opportunities and education to achieve what they want to do, where they are able to contribute to a world where gender equality and gender transformative and inclusive education for all is achieved, where the most marginalized girls are not left behind. A world where when a global pandemic occurs, girls are not forgotten. They are not left behind. And progress does not go backwards. I am aware we do not have this dream world yet, but the pandemic has further exacerbated so many inequalities for girls. And the most marginalized girls have been even more left behind. This has not stopped people from working to achieve our dream world. Communities are resilient. Organizations are resilient. And girls are resilient. We witnessed it as soon as the pandemic started. Community organizations, including young feminist-led ones, mobilized quickly and responded to the needs of girls in their communities. This is why we are here in this Zoom room today to celebrate, amplify, and learn about the innovations and best practices from these organizations in East Africa. Throughout Transform Education, the feminist-led coalition hosted by United Nations Girls Education I'm part of, I have witnessed the work of informal groups of young feminists who have been at the front line, whether it be providing digital literacy workshops for girls, creating accessible apps or books so girls can continue to learn, creating safe spaces for girls to discuss their experiences, putting in place gender-based violence hotlines, having underground lessons on CSE and SHR, innovative gender transformative solutions are happening. and they are happening with very little resources. Today, I dare to challenge everyone with these 3 notches as we push for progress. Listening, that we listen to our communities who are doing this work, listening to their needs and ensure we provide those needs. This especially includes education and gender ministries, policymakers, and multilateral global organizations. Number 2, resources. We need a flexible feminist core funding that is accessible to both formal and informal groups. Funds that are created with, by, and for community groups who are doing this work. And for this to happen, we all need to share. We all need to push for progress. Number 3, intergenerational feminist leadership. The younger and older generations in gender equality, education advocates, and activism at large need to work together and sit at the same table. We need to share knowledge. We need to co-lead. We need to share resources and make changes together. Education shifts power. We demand a shift of power. We must listen, collaborate, and resource for this to happen. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Gertrude. What a powerful call for everyone to resource education and girls education. Winding this powerful conversation, I'd like to say a big thank you to Antara and Gertrude, our incredible partners, for sharing our work. And just to provide context to why we are here, in the year 2020, Trocare and Group URD conducted a study on the percentage funds received by national and civil society organizations and community-based organizations. Now, in its findings, it perceived that less than 2% of COVID funds reached community-based organizations. I think we can all agree this is a dire situation for grassroots organizations, who many times face situations that require them to make strategic decisions to save women and girls in the community. Now, overhead and administrative costs are increasingly becoming a nightmare as donor conditions dictate a paltry 5 to 15% of total funds to be allocated for CDOs. Now, this is quite ironic that those mandated to oversee the implementing entity from the donor may probably earn 3 times as much as a local implementer. There's an assumption that in localization, local workers and implementers should be volunteering, and that funds should only be for beneficiaries, forgetting that it is imperative to improve the standards of living for community workers and human rights girls defenders to enable them be in a stable mental space to comfortably provide for their families and dedicate their work and time to community work. So localizing girls' education is a multifaceted issue. The funding matrix must change to ensure that we localize funds, but we must also shift the power narrative between the international and community actors. For more recent research here at Amplify Girls on the impact of COVID-19 on girls' education, we found that adolescent girls are in a crisis. Pregnancy rates are increasing at an alarming rate, and girls are facing massive barriers to return to school. So there's also a looming health crisis added to this pandemic. So an imperative for Amplify Girls is not only to do the research, and advocate for change, but also to mobilize funding to support community-driven organizations who are addressing these issues at scale. And so we are therefore thrilled today to announce that Amplify Girls will be launching the Education and Innovation Fund, a big commitment for us to support our community-based partners across East Africa as they return girls to school and provide them with the services they so desperately need to stay in school. We will be actively fundraising for the fund through the end of the year, and every dollar will go towards supporting the Amplify Girls partners getting back to school. And so please join us in making commitments today. In conclusion, I would just want to leave you with this. The success of the girls' education in grassroots communities relies heavily on shifting the development narrative and resourcing structure. This will effectively address issues that women and girls face at the grassroots level. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank all of our wonderful presenters today, David, Omondi, Valentine, Kansime, Anande, Gertrude, and Antara. Thank you all for joining us, and the future is local. I think we're just going to have a post on the screen, but thank you for joining us. And please put all your questions in the chat as we go forward. And we will be able to answer you. In case you want to learn more about it, please check the chat for our website information. And we will also share with everyone presentations made on the partners. Please follow them on social media as well if you want to follow the conversation. So thank you, everyone. And we have now concluded our discussion.